Now, research has revealed the impact that climate change is having on the way the Earth spins. Scientists measured what they call polar motion, which is the way the Earth moves in position on its axis. Now, the direction of that move has started to shift because melting ice at the poles is changing how weight is distributed on the Earth. Well, after moving towards Canada for much of the 20th century, the direction of polar motion is now east, heading towards the UK. Joining us live now from Pasadena in California via Skype is Surendra Adhikari. He's a postdoctoral fellow at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Thanks so much for being with us on the programme. Perhaps you want to start by explaining a little bit more about why climate change is changing the way the Earth so-called wobbles on its axis.
Okay, so to understand how the Earth rotates, so we have to understand the fundamental principle of physics, basically. So imagine we have kind of a kind of idealized sphere that is rotating about some axis. And if we take some chunk of material out of this sphere, and the spin axis, or the pole, in other words, tends to head toward the location where you remove the mass. So it all comes down to where you lose the mass and where you gain the mass. So in the region you lose the mass, for example, the Greenland ice sheet, so essentially the loss of the mass from Greenland ice sheet is trying to pull the pole toward the ice sheet itself. But now here we are talking about the global scale problem. So Greenland ice sheet is only one major component of the global scale mass redistribution kind of model that we have analyzed in this particular paper.
So should we be concerned about the fact that this polar motion has effectively changed direction, if you like? Should we be worried about that?
Well, in terms of whether it affects the daily weather pattern that we experience on a global scale, no. But in terms of some kind of everyday application, for example, to get more accurate results from your GPS, for example, so this kind of motion is very important to understand and to take into consideration.
I hadn't realised that scientists have actually been monitoring the way the Earth moves on its axis for more than a century now. How does all that monitoring and that research help scientists?
Well, that's a very good question, and our study is essentially establishing a very powerful connection between the global scale climate variability and the way how the pole is essentially moving. And what that means is that, we also have a very accurate measurement of the motion of the pole that goes back in time all the way to year 1899. So meaning we have more than 115 years long record of polar motion data. And this is kind of such a very accurate set of data. So now what we recommend, based on the results that we have presented in this paper, that so this data be utilized to constrain or to fine-tune the models of the past climate change. That way, we'll have more confidence on the model of the future climate change. So it's a very powerful kind of finding in terms of constraining the global scale climate model.
This really is extraordinary research. Surendra Adhikari, thanks so much for joining us there from Pasadena.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Bye.